Today looking at a brand new gimbal from FeiyuTech that will work with a multitude of cameras, a wide variety, including your iPhone. All right, I've got my iPhone and I want to put it on a gimbal, and this new FeiyuTech gimbal might just be the best value gimbal that I've seen in a long time. FeiyuTech sent me this and I didn't know what to expect, but when I opened the box, I was like, wow, a case? And this is a very affordable gimbal. So when you open the case, you've got all these pouches that contain all the different cables and different mounts you need for the gimbal. And then you actually have, of course, the gimbal, a tripod, and then you get a little light, like a little fill light. And then you get a mount to mount the light. So this can go into the side of the gimbal here, or you could use it however you want. But I was just really surprised by how much came with this gimbal all in one kit. And that also includes this pole. And so you can connect this to the bottom of the gimbal and do high angle shots or low angle shots, whatever. It just gives you more of a reach. I call it a reach pole. So great value here from a gimbal that I just thought was going to be a new gimbal, which, you know, to be honest, kind of bores me. But this gimbal, beyond just the kit, actually has some pretty cool features I'll talk about right now. So I mentioned my iPhone at the beginning, and this gimbal works with iPhones or any kind of phone and small cameras. It's what I would call a hybrid gimbal. It holds up to 2,000 grams, or roughly, what is that, 4.5 pounds or so. And so it's a versatile gimbal, but most gimbals like this in particular are for traditional cameras. But the nice thing about this one from FeiyuTech, this is the Scorp Mini Pro, keep that in mind, the Pro part, it comes with this really cool iPhone mount or phone mount. And it's something I'd never seen before. And so this does make it unique. What is really cool about it, number one, it's pretty hefty, it's built well. But number two, if you look closely here, it's got a fan built in. And I did a previous video about how important fans can be if you're shooting a lot, and in particular outside. So having a fan built into the mount, and it is solid construction. This part's plastic, but this is all metal, is really cool and a nice feature they've added. And the fan is powered through a little USB here that you can run off the gimbal. And this mount slides in and out of the traditional mount really easily. Once you have it in, you just latch this closed. And now you're ready to install the phone. One thing I will say though, when I first showed my phone, I had this moment case on there. This latch, this mount will not work with the case on. Now this is a 16 Pro Max, and these moment cases are really pretty thick. So I haven't tried it with a different case or a smaller phone, but my setup won't work with the case on. But with the case off, it works totally fine. And so now I just need to balance it, and I can go out and shoot with this setup, and again, have a fan if I'm shooting in the heat built in with the gimbal. So that is really a pretty nice feature. Another new thing they've added to this gimbal is a hardware AI tracker. Now, a lot of gimbals have AI trackers. Some of them are detachable. This one's built in, which I do actually kind of like. That way you're not going to lose it. But it is nice to have that in, especially for solo shooters. If you're a YouTuber, or if you're even just walking and tracking something, it's nice to have that. And all you do is the OK sign to get it going. Do the OK sign to stop. But that is a nice feature built in to the gimbal. Now, another new addition to this Mini Pro is the handle. The handle's the same as the original one, but there's a button here you click and the handle comes off. With the handle off, you can now control the gimbal with the joystick. So now I've got the gimbal on, I got the handle in my hand, and now I can control it remotely. So this could come in pretty handy again if you're shooting yourself, Or let's say someone else is operating the gimbal and they're walking and talking and you're walking behind them, you could help control the gimbal if you need to. Like if you have pan follow turned on, so it'll pan left and right, but then you could tilt it up and down to help out the operator. But more times than not on a gimbal like this, you'll probably be doing solo shooting. So again, you've got the gimbal set up somewhere and you just want to pan around, but you want to be in the shot, you know, whatever, 10, 20 feet away, whatever it is. This will work up to 18 meters, I believe. And so that's a pretty good distance, but having this feature now in this gimbal is unique. And again, this is a really good value gimbal. But then of course, sometimes you want to use a bigger rig. You don't want to just have your phone on there. You want to have the case, and I could put an ND filter on here if I wanted to. And I've got it in a B-Script Pro. And so basically I've configured the gimbal to work with a traditional camera. I've got the different mounts and such on here that you could mount a small mirrorless camera on here as well. And in this case, I've got my iPhone and a cage, and this could be any cage, by the way. You just have to rebalance it, but that makes it really versatile. So I could do it the previous way with the iPhone mount that it has, or I could go this way. And let me turn the gimbal on real quick. So of course the weight is no problem at all. It has a 2,000 gram max, 4.4 pounds, I think. And this probably weighs no more than a pound or two, if that. The payload up here is rather light. It's top heavy. That's one thing you run into with iPhones. And so sometimes on these, you'll have to use counterweights, but on this one, I haven't had to use any counterweights at all. And it seems to work really well. The FeiyuTech Mini, the original, worked pretty well, but with certain cages and such, it didn't work so well. And I did a review of that previously. So from that one, I went to the Scorp 2, a larger gimbal designed for heavier payloads. But what this one ends up being is kind of a go-between between the original Mini and then their full-on Scorp. This is the Scorp Mini Pro, and it fits a nice niche in here for mobile filmmakers or people using small mirrorless cameras. And then if you want to take this off and put it on a tripod, it's pretty easy. You just got these latches you undo here. And this slides out, and then there's a little lever right there. Press that in, and now it's free from the gimbal. And I've got a mount here with a little screw. You could just pop that off, and you could even use a quick release here. I actually used a screw, but you could use a quick release, which I've talked about in other videos. You could take this right off and put it on a tripod and then put it back on the gimbal. So pretty nice and easy way to switch out the phone with this gimbal. Now I felt bored by gimbals for quite a while, as I mentioned in the video. And then when the AI tracker stuff started coming along, that was, you know, more interesting. And so with this gimbal, when I saw the cool new handle and then the way the AI tracker is built in, and then not to mention the fan on the phone mount, that I did find pretty interesting. Now I still think overall gimbals aren't that exciting, and I really mainly use gimbals when I'm doing narrative type work. However, they really can be pretty cool for a wide range of different types of projects. And so if you're looking for a new gimbal, I think this is definitely one to check out, especially if you're using smaller mirrorless cameras or of course an iPhone. Thanks for watching. This is Blake Calhoun. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.